Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a minute. I feel like I say that with every video, but I think the last one I posted on my YouTube channel was a day in the life in New York City, and shortly after that happened, a pandemic hit, and I, after a couple weeks of not really knowing what was going to happen, I decided it was probably safe to go home with my parents, quarantine here, and 4 months later and I'm still here. Very exciting update. I'm not sure if people watching this video follow me on Instagram, but I kind of have been sharing some life updates there. So definitely follow me. I'll include my Instagram below, but I am moving at the end of this month. I'm filming this on July 17th, and I will be moving into a new place in Hoboken, New Jersey on August 2nd with my boyfriend. So very exciting. The point of this video, as the title suggests, is really things to know and tips that I can give for people who are looking to move to New York City. I'll give a little backstory. Disclaimer, not everyone's gonna have the experience or agree with the advice that I'm giving. This is just for my personal experience. So let's get into a brief background about how I got into the city. So I graduated college in 2015, and I moved back in with my parents in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Now, I knew that I didn't want to be here for a while. I always assumed that I would live in Philadelphia because I am so close and work there. But after I started going to job interviews, I slowly realized that I think New York had the opportunity and really the environment that I wanted. So I booked a bus one day and I lined up 3 different job interviews, and one worked out and I was really excited about it. But the kicker was they gave me 2.5 weeks before my start date. And I knew that I could not be commuting from Pennsylvania to New York City every day. It's like 2.5 hour drive one way. So we got right down to it. So luckily was able to find 2 roommates, kind of just ended up signing a lease on the first place that I saw. So I want to make that disclaimer and kind of give you that background, because a lot of what I've learned was how I could have done better that first time, but time just wasn't on my side. Now I'm almost like up at my 5th year, so I hope that you guys find these tips interesting, and let's get into the first one. So my first tip, I guess I'm going to title it like make a decision about a broker. So for those who aren't familiar with a broker, brokers, they do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to your apartment search. And this is kind of a pro. So I kind of look at it 2 ways. There's pros and cons to both. So if you decide to go with a broker, you are not going to be doing any of really the heavy lifting and the hard work to book the appointments, call the buildings to make sure you can see an apartment. A broker is going to take care of all of that for you. However, the con to that is that a broker is, in my experience, I've used 2 brokers out of the 3 places I've lived, and that broker charged 1 month's rent for their fee. So, for example, my first 3-bedroom apartment in New York was around $3,800. Of course, we all divvied that up depending on our room size, but we all had to front another $3,800 in sum to pay that broker. So they're expensive, but it really depends on if you want to put in the work or if you want to save the money. Now, on the other side, if you are kind of looking to save as much as you can in your move, definitely look at places online that have no broker's fee. So sometimes that will come up as no fee. Another little helpful tip is to use StreetEasy. I found that StreetEasy was the best service website. They really get into some nitty-gritty filters that if you're very particular about your apartment and your living area like I am, I really enjoyed using StreetEasy, excuse me. So that is my first tip about brokers. Tip number 2. Sure, a lot of people who are looking to move to New York are aware of this, but do not, I repeat, do not begin looking for apartments until a month of your desired move-in date. I luckily didn't go through this my first round, but you know, if you're like me and you like to plan ahead, unfortunately, real estate in New York City goes like that. And if you are looking for a place for a September 1 move-in and you started your search in like mid-July, you're gonna get your hopes up on an apartment. And if you really fall in love with one, it's gonna be taken away, you know, probably within that week. So the good part of that is that things are always going on the market, and just kind of, it's great to just refresh your page and really also look for places with your desired move-in date, because some could be an ASAP move-in, others could be, you know, in 2 weeks. But if you're looking for a September 1 move-in date, you can also filter for that on StreetEasy. So do not begin your apartment search 3 months out. If you're planning to move to New York, do it a month before you plan on moving in. Third tip would be do your research on the neighborhoods. I think I'm probably going to be referencing my move to New York and how rushed it was, but I did not have the ability to do this. By seeing the different apartments, I kind of just got a feel for the street I would be living on, and that was that. I signed. I wish I did a lot more research regarding the neighborhoods. Fun fact, the first place I ended up living was across from a project. It's like it was a community housing, but it was not safe. There was a lot of stuff that went on there, and looking back at it now, I wish of course it was a beautiful place that I stayed, or I signed a lease on, but yeah, that was nuts. So anyways, do your research on the neighborhoods. I think that each neighborhood really suits a different kind of person, and I'm not going to get into that. However, if you want me to make a video on that, I will. But I did receive some questions on my Instagram about top neighborhoods I would recommend for people just graduating college or wanting to move, and recently are college graduates. So I should preface that I like to go out, I like to drink and socialize. So these are more so for, people who just kind of want to be in the thick of it. So I wrote a list here. First one would be East Village. That's a great area, a ton of bars, and also pretty convenient when it comes to I shouldn't say East Village is kind of a hard area to get to, but it is kind of a party in itself. And then following that would be Lower East Side. That's actually where I reside right now. It's where my third apartment is, but moving out next week, so sad. West Village, going to be on your pricier side, but you are local to everything, and it is just such a beautiful area. If you watch Friends, you'll know that. Soho, of course, it's also going to be a little expensive. You'll probably be paying more there for a much smaller space, but again, local to everything. I have here Chinatown, because one of my best friends lived in Chinatown, and for what she was paying, she had an amazing spot. So I think it's probably not many people's go-to, but I would definitely check out the Chinatown area, because it is really in the heart of everything. You can walk anywhere. My friend was able to walk to our work. She was able to walk, to Soho, to West Village, to Tribeca. It's really like that center point. So if you want to be in the middle of it and don't want to break your bank account, look at Chinatown. The next one would be Chelsea. This is on the west side. This, I always say the west side kind of is favorable with commuting. So most offices tend to be on the west side, and they have a ton of subways. Versus going to the east side, you're gonna have to get across town to go up or down. So sometimes that can be a pain, but Chelsea is very up and coming. There is a documentary, I'll put it on the screen if I'm able to find it. It was on Netflix. It was an amazing, amazing documentary about Chelsea and how the area is gentrified. So definitely kind of cool, a lot of art studios. So Chelsea's a great one. And then my final two, which is actually where I live for majority of my stay in the city, was Kips Bay and Murray Hill. These are a little bit more uptown, but fun fact, Murray Hill is sometimes referred to as Murray Chill, because they always say it's where the frat and sorority people who graduate college will go. So it definitely is a lively area, but it attracts a lot more families, and it's not local to a ton of bars. So if you want to be kind of down in the fun area, I would say move a little bit more downtown. So I hope that answers your question. 4, I would scream this from the rooftops if I could. Always, always, always recommend a roommate. And everywhere I've lived, the 3 apartments, I've had 2 roommates, then 1 roommate, and now I'm with 1 roommate as well. And not only is it just like the cost benefit that, you know, you're splitting costs and it's a little bit more financially preferable, I think, you know, if you are looking to save some money, but it's also just, it's great to live with someone in a massive city, because sometimes if you're alone in a massive city, it can feel very, you just feel lonely. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But I know the times where my roommates would leave, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And you know, it just, roommates also kind of are great to help you get out of your comfort zone, and you get to meet a bunch of new people. Of my roommates actually had, like, she had a connection who ended up getting me the job I'm at now. It's wild. So not only are roommates great for the financial reasons, but they're also great for like networking, for the social part of it, and also just to kind of have that companion with you. Sorry, tip number 5 is put at least $20 a paycheck away in savings to do your due diligence. Now, I'm sure you're probably thinking, I'm not gonna have any money to spare if I wanna buy groceries, do all this stuff. At least put away $1, put away $5, put away 10, whatever you can. You will thank yourself in the long run. I wish I did this back in 2015 with my first job, but I was naive and thought that spending money at bars and online shopping and stuff was more important than just putting money away for savings. So I started doing this, I think 3 years ago, and now I am so happy I did it. And you kind of learn as you grow with your career and stuff that there are also different avenues to invest your money into. I think it's kind of a common tip, not necessarily to New York, but if you are kind of putting away everything into a savings or an index fund, a mutual fund, that's money that won't be touched, and you got to make yourself that promise. So, and I think to go along with that, it's kind of like give yourself budgets for certain things. I was not good about this, but I wish that I really cut myself off during the week. And this isn't a tip that I wrote down, but I do think it's very important to at least have one night a week to yourself, because you might find that whatever job you do, whatever friends you make in the city, it's gonna feel like every night there's something to do. And this goes into my next tip, which is learn to deal with FOMO or expect no money in your bank account. So as I was saying earlier, I highly recommend picking days of the week that are just non-negotiables. Like you go home, you cook yourself dinner, and that's that. I myself am very easy to persuade to like go out or, you know, grab a drink after work, but sometimes those things can last a little longer than expected and you're spending a little bit more money than you thought you were. So would recommend, and that's kind of something that I instigated over the past couple of years, just because I was like, not only exhausted, but my bank account was exhausted. And I just felt like I'm going out, I'm doing all these things. When's the me time? You know, when am I getting that? So pick your days of the week and stick to them. To be alone and don't go out. Number, I think I'm at 7. I could just be butchering it at this point, but summers are interesting in the city. I had a friend that was living in New York and kind of warned me about this, but of course I was like, I'll be fine. So summers clear out in the city, whether people are going up to the Hamptons, Fire Island, or going down to the Jersey Shore, which I much prefer. But my first summer, I really struggled. I really struggled because a lot of my friends were older and they kind of had their plans with where they were going to go for the summer, and I just felt super, super lonely. I remember calling my parents and having them pick me up one weekend because I was just like, I don't want to do this. So it clears out on the weekends, and sometimes it's a little bit of a ghost town, but of course it's New York, so there's always something to do. So, you know, take that for what you will. I think it's, if you enjoy kind of getting a break from everyone, you know, then that's awesome. But for me, I really thrive off of like the hustle and bustle in the city, and I love, I don't want to say crowded places. I definitely don't love crowded places, but I enjoy having all this going on around me, and I just didn't feel that my first summer. So luckily, for my second and third summer, I had a shore house with a group of friends that I actually met at my second job, and that's actually how I ended up meeting my boyfriend, who I'm moving in with in 2 weeks. So tip number 8. This isn't necessarily a New York City tip, but I think that it can be maximized in the city because you feel like everyone around you is so successful, is that you will likely not love your first job. And if you do, kudos, that's amazing. It's very rare, but I wish that I didn't go into my first job thinking that it was like my future. It's definitely not a field I thought I would be bad at, but I truly did not like it, and I think that really showed in my work. Luckily, with all of the people and references that I met at that first job, I was able to do a lot of interviews, meeting up for coffee, and network to essentially find the dream job I'm at now. So it's the first job, I think, and especially coming out of college, you do feel a little like, what the hell, like, how am I supposed to do this? But it will get better, and New York City is the prime area to be for all these opportunities. You literally can do anything in New York, I'm not kidding. 1 second. I think this might be kind of what will end the video, but I think this kind of adds a little bit more of a human element to this, not only this video, but just New York. I was always a girl that's in college, you know, I said, you'll never see me in New York. I think it's too much. And of course, when I made that decision to move, truly think it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. I think it was a better decision than choosing the college I went to, and other very large decisions. The city teaches you so much about yourself, so much about what you can handle versus what you can't. It teaches you strength, resilience, and to kind of fend for yourself. It is such a thriving city, and every day you wake up fortunate to live there. And for anyone that is thinking about moving there, it really is an experience you will never, and regardless of what your experience looks like there, I hope it's a good one. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. Reach out to my Instagram DMs. Feel free to comment, below anything you want to see from me. And I could talk about a bunch of different things in the city. So if there's a specific topic that you want me to talk about, maybe getting a job, or maybe why I chose to live where I live, and I don't know, other things. If there's anything you can think about, I'm an open book, but I definitely hope that I can stick to my word, and I won't let my actual real job get in the way of me vlogging my new moving experience with my boyfriend to Hoboken. So that will be fun. So hopefully this next video will be a moving out of New York, moving to Hoboken. But like I said, any questions, please reach out to me, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.